song for the movie I wrote, Love Is Not a Fight After a Fight, with my wife, that she started. My wife is OCD, my wife is a clean freak. There are vacuum marks on the carpet at my house. And if you went in my house and messed up a vacuum mark, it would be your responsibility to replace it. She's passionate about that. And one night I had some friends over, some of my guy friends were hanging out, and I was eating some snacks, I was eating some pretzels, and I had lifted a pretzel from the table. It was traveling toward my mouth, and I fumbled it. And it fell on our floor and destroyed our home. So my wife disciplined me with her eyes, which is normally okay, but on this particular occasion, my friends were there, and they saw my wife eye discipline me. So I felt the need to show my friends that I wasn't afraid of this woman. So I looked my wife in her disciplining eyes, and I dropped a whole handful of pretzels. Yeah, it was the wrong thing to do. At the time, I thought it was hilarious. And so did my friends, but they were afraid to laugh. They were waiting to see what my wife would do. She didn't see the humor in it, so they left. They're no longer my friend. Anyone who's been in a relationship for any period of time, you know that often our greatest fights start over the smallest things, don't they? And that night was no different for Megan and I. We had been married about 6 years, and we had a lot of problems in our marriage. A lot of things we weren't dealing with. And it could have been anything that started the fight. It happened to have been a pretzel. Before long, the fight had grew, and we were fighting over 6 years worth of wrongs. And I can't get into all of the wrongs that night, but I'll just tell you that it got to the point to where Megan and I had convinced ourselves that we didn't belong together anymore. We were screaming at each other that we wanted out of our marriage. I cussed my wife and told her that I wanted out of our marriage, that if I could just be free of her, I could have peace. And we had said we were going to leave. Although we didn't leave. We decided we were going to try to make it work, and we used these words. We said if we were going to stay together even one more day, we were going to have to fight for each other as hard as we had fought against each other. And so we began to talk about what that would look like and to fight for our marriage. I wrote this song for Megan to tell her I would fight for her. I sang it to her on our 6-year wedding anniversary on the back porch of her mom and dad's house in Ohio to tell her that I'd fight for her. I never meant to sing it for anyone else. This was, I never meant to tell the pretzel story. I wound up recording the song, and the guys that were making the movie Fireproof, they heard my record and asked if they could use the song in the movie. And I told them they had to ask my wife. It was her song, and I didn't want to start another fight. So they did. But I always tell the story to say I didn't write it for a movie or for anyone else. People meet me all the time, and they say, hey, we had your song at our wedding. And some dude will come up to me and go, hey, I sang your song at my wedding. I'm like, I didn't write that for you, brother. I'm kidding. I'll tell them I wrote it for my wife, Megan, and I sang it to her on our 6-year wedding anniversary to tell her she was worth fighting for, because she is worth fighting for. It's been 6 years since the pretzel fell, and we're still fighting for her.